Hello everyone, welcome to another Versus Video Deck Tech. I am BBD, joined by...
Todd Flenderson.
Flenderson, yes. Just good old Flenderson. And we're here with Green-Blue Devotion. So this is basically mono-green Devotion deck, but splashing blue for a couple of heavy hitters, some would say.
Yeah, I actually really like the way this deck looks, and it's going to be fun to play against. But let's go take a look at the deck and talk about all the cool interactions.
Yeah, so one of the big things about this deck is, like, the green Devotion decks are like, they kind of rely on Garruk as, like, a source of card advantage, but other than that, they can just be, like, a bunch of air sometimes.
Yeah, I did play this deck in the very first Open when Born of the Gods came out. And I had like Sylvan Primordials and like 4 Cyclonic Rift, and I was just trying to like go super big, but I had like draws where I would draw 14 mana guys, or my opponent would just kill like my only threat that I played, and I would just die, and it was miserable.
Or your hand's like 2 Caryatids, a Voyaging Satyr, a Nykthos, and they just cast Thoughtseize and take your big thing.
Yeah.
And you're just like, and we're dead.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping to not run into that issue by having a secondary engine besides Garruk with Eidolon Blossoms. And it just so happens that like a lot of the creatures that we want to play anyway are also enchantments.
Yeah.
So there's Courser, Boon Satyr, and Nylea to go with Eidolon to basically provide a secondary source of like card advantage. So the hope is to like start chaining cards like Eidolon together to draw us into like Garruk's to start going bigger and bigger. And like one of the sweet things about blue-green is we have Prophet of Krufix, which a lot of times the issue with this kind of a deck is like you have like 7 cards in your hand, you just can't cast any of them.
Yeah.
But Prophet's like lets you just pretty much unload your entire hand, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan. I would like to see this in action in this deck. When I played, I wasn't playing Prophet or some people were suggesting what's the blue-green legend from Gatecrash?
Prime Speaker Zagana.
Yeah, Prime Speaker Zagana. You know why I can't remember the name of that card? Because it doesn't see play in like any deck. And if any deck would want it, it would be like something like this, like a green big guy deck where all you want to do is just keep drawing cards. So I guess the card's just not very good. But
yeah, like I considered it, but the reason I didn't want to go with it is because like a lot of these creatures are really small. And I didn't want to butcher the mana base to be able to actually cast Prime Speaker.
Yeah, double blue's pretty rough. I guess it's a little bit better with Voyaging Satyr, but at the same time, like, if you just draw Zagana in a breeding pool, then, like, you know, it's really hard to cast it or whatever, you know, or just a bunch of Force and a Sylvan Caryatid. So
yeah.
I'm okay leaving it on the sidelines. Garruk is a very similar card to Prime Speaker Zagana, so I'm fine with that. I will say that I love the interaction between Nykthos and then you have a few mana sinks in Pulchronos and Nylea God the Hunt, and that's nothing new. That's been in the green decks for a while, but this deck does tend to flood out sometimes, and having ways to use all of your mana every turn is pretty awesome. I know there were a few games I played with the deck where I got to activate Pulchronos for X equals like 27 or whatever, because I went Nykthos activate, double Voyaging Satyr, play another one, activate it, and then just blam. So
yeah, another cool, like the cool thing you can do too is like you can like monstrous your Pulchronos, hit them, then on their turn untap with Prophet and play like another creature.
Yeah, or just like, play another Pulchronos, get rid of your first one, and then use it again.
Yeah.
That actually sounds pretty sweet.
Or you know, untap and Cyclonic Rift their entire board or something. So yeah, there's a lot of cool things. Like any Devotion deck, though, it can just get like broken up by Thoughtseize and Life Bands and stuff sometimes.
Yeah, which is what I get to play today.
Lucky.
We figured it would just be a good litmus test for the deck, you know. Like, once a deck wins a tournament, like the Black-White did in the hands of Charlie Reinhardt, playing a brew against it is usually like par for the course, or par for the courser, if you will. And really? No laugh? Come on. You're better than that, Brian.
Actually, I'm just not.
All right. Well, let's go and look at the board, and then I'm going to Thoughtseize Brian to death.
All right. That sounds good to me. Looking at the board, that is.
Oh, sure.
Not the Thoughtseize. So the sideboard is a bunch of green cards, which may come as no surprise if you looked at the main deck.
How many Force? We were playing a lot of Force. Okay, checks out.
Yeah. So we have another Garruk. That's basically for like the control matchups or whatever, just to provide even more card advantage because they like to cast things like Supreme Verdict.
Yeah, and, I mean, makes sense. I like it.
Yeah, strong, very strong. Then we have Unravel the Aether, pretty much just for enchantments and artifacts, also strong, very strong sideboard card.
I can't do this.
Yeah.
No.
So Arbor Colossus might be more.
Hold on. I can take this one.
You can take this one?
He's good against flying creatures.
Yes, he is. He is great against flying creatures. Arbor Colossus is pretty much for Storm Breath Dragons, the main thing.
Yeah. I mean, that card actually seems pretty problematic, but it's also pretty good against Desecration Demon, which I'm playing. And,
it is, yeah. Nightveil Specters.
Maybe worth bringing. Yeah, it's really good against Black Devotion decks, I think. Like, you just have to have ways to kill Desecration Demon, and killing Nightveil Specter is, like, pretty good. It's really hard for them to do anything except play lands off of the top of your deck, so... But, I mean, sometimes that's enough, just them hitting their land drops, but... One card I wanted you to talk about is this one, because I love this card. It's Citizen Tactics.
Yeah, I think this card is actually like one of the main reasons that Green Devotion actually can be a thing now, because now you can actually kill creatures, which you can never do that before, so like your opponent going like Frostburn, Nightveil, Master of Waves was pretty much just game over, but now you can just be like,
I'll spend 3 or 4 mana and kill every one of your creatures.
Yes.
That's not so bad. Yeah, when they actually spoiled this card, I just thought to myself, like, wow, they're pushing pretty hard. Like, there was already a 2-mana instant speed fight spell or whatever, and this one gives +1/+1 and has Strive for only 1 green, and just, I mean, I don't know. it makes the green decks like actually have ways to fight against like Tidebinder Mage decks. So
yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, I've actually just used it as a combat trick numerous times, where you're just like attack with 3 guys, I guess I'll just pump all 3 guys. I guess that works too.
Yeah.
You don't even have to fight. You can just pump your guys.
Yeah.
Bo and Nihilist Disciple are pretty much because Burn has been like very popular lately and putting up consistently good performances.
I would not even hate potentially main decking Disciple if the Burn decks continue to like, put up top 8 after top 8, because it's a very cheap deck, and it's a very good deck for players who are not that experienced in Standard and they just want a deck to play, because all you really have to do in that deck is just like count to 20. Like obviously there are lines where they have to figure out whether they should kill a creature or like hit you with their burn spell, but that's basically all the decisions they have to make. So
yeah, and I mean, if we have these, they don't have to count to 20 anymore. They have to count to like 28 or whatever, and that's pretty gassy. So
hold on, can I take the last one?
You can take Mistcutter Hydra.
Mistcutter Hydra is good against blue decks.
Yes.
Okay, good.
It's also good against decks with
blue
counter spells.
Oh, yeah. No, I really like Mistcutter Hydra in the shell. Like, being another mana sink type card is really good. The blue-eye decks have very few ways to interact with this card, and it's also very good against mono blue Devotion, which traditionally was one of your worst matchups, I think, because they had Tidebinder Mage and Master of Waves, and you just could not really deal with either of those.
Yep.
But now you have 2 cards in your sideboard that are just fantastic against them, so I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, Mistcutter is pretty sweet with like Nykthos too. You can go crazy with Nykthos. You can make like a 12/12 Mistcutter Hydra and just kind of give it to him. So I don't know. I think this deck's pretty sweet. Hopefully it's good. Hopefully Thoughtseize into Life Bane into a second Life Bane or whatever. Doesn't
I'm
put
only
me
playing
under.
3 Life Bane zombies, so...
All right, so you're telling me there's a chance.
Yeah, but... All right, guys, well, this should be a lot of fun. Me and Brian are going to ham it up a little bit, so stay tuned. We'll see you in a minute.
I'm going to roast beef it up.